Welcome to our 1-hour session on developing a positive self-concept and high self-esteem in children. This session is intended for educational purposes and only seeks to make recommendations regarding ways to develop and grow children's self-concepts as well as their self-esteem. Most childcare facilities, as well as some states, may have specific procedures and requirements regarding self-concept and self-esteem. Any established procedures should not be changed or altered in any way without first consulting your facility's director as well as your state's requirements. This session has been divided into 4 sections. First, we will look at self-concept, self-esteem, and their specific elements. Then, we will discuss more specific details on self-concept, including identifying and evaluating its various elements in children. Strategies and approaches for developing and growing positive self-concepts and high self-esteem are complex. So, the last 2 sections will both be devoted to these ideas. Each section will be followed by a series of multiple-choice questions to help you monitor your progress. Self-esteem is an area that is almost unanimously considered a crucial element to healthy child development. In fact, some education experts have argued that the most important thing childcare professionals can do is assist children in developing positive self-esteem. They feel that this skill, this ability, will help students achieve greatness throughout their entire lives, and consequently, should be our focus above reading, writing, math, and every other educational skill. Unfortunately, self-esteem and all of the topics related to it tend to be very complex and abstract, making it challenging to fully comprehend them. There are several reasons for this difficulty. First and foremost, self-esteem is something intangible. It's inside each of us, but it's not solid. It can't be seen or heard or touched, yet it affects all of us each and every day. Secondly, all of the vocabulary in this area of interest either begins or ends with the phrase self, making it very difficult to keep the word separate and unique. In addition, all of the ideas that fall under this topic intertwine. They affect each other significantly, and they do not stand alone. Finally, self-concept, self-image, and self-esteem do not mean the same thing. These words are not interchangeable, yet unfortunately, they tend to be used that way in today's literature. Since it is important to have an understanding of all the components of this topic before we begin discussing strategies, let's start by clarifying some of the vocabulary and looking at how these items fit together. The overarching idea, the big picture of this field of study, is self-concept. Since the phrase self appears in all of the vocabulary words, let's look at the word concept. A concept is an idea or model of something. In the case of self-concept, it is the idea of who you are and how you would define yourself. In other words, the model of yourself. This overarching idea is then divided into 2 parts, self-image and self-esteem. Again, let's drop the self part of these words and look at what remains. An image is a picture or physical representation of something. Consequently, your self-image is how you see yourself, and also includes how you believe others see you. Self-esteem is probably the most complicated of the vocabulary words. In reality, there are vast differences in how this word is defined, so much so that many experts have embraced the fact that a common definition may never be agreed upon. Rather than defining the word, Dr. Nathaniel Braden, one of the leading pioneers in this field, prefers to describe what self-esteem does. He eloquently describes self-esteem as the immune system of consciousness. In other words, high self-esteem doesn't prevent us from having problems or experiencing anxiety, but it gives us a strong line of defense to deal with them. Even though a common definition may never officially be agreed upon, let's see if we can come up with a working definition for the purposes of this class. First, let's look at the word esteem. Esteem refers to the value or worth given to something. Thus, your self-esteem, again for the purposes of this session, will refer to the value you place on yourself. In other words, how you feel about yourself. To review, self-concept, or how you define yourself, is broken into two categories: self-image and self-esteem. Self-image is how you see yourself, and self-esteem refers to how you feel about yourself. These two categories that help us define ourselves, self-image and self-esteem, are also broken into subcategories. Let's begin by looking at self-image. Self-image directly influences our beliefs, attitudes, and opinions. With a strong, positive self-image, we are able to develop our own thoughtful, well-defined set of standards to live by, and then successfully live by them. The image you have of yourself is divided into three different subcategories: physical, mental, and social. Your physical self is just that. It's how you see yourself physically. This area also includes your physical abilities, things like dancing, playing ball, rock climbing, etc. Your thinking self refers to what knowledge you see yourself as having, what you know and have learned, and your social self refers to how you view the relationships you have with others. Now let's talk about the other category, self-esteem. Though there is much disagreement about the definition of self-esteem, most experts agree that it is broken into two subcategories: self-efficacy and self-respect. Efficacy means competence, so self-efficacy means how you feel about your own competence. In other words, how confident you are in your own ability to achieve. This trait allows us to cope with life's challenges and to feel capable of dealing with those challenges. The second category of self-esteem is self-respect. When we respect something, we value it. So self-respect refers to how we feel about our own value, our own worth. It encourages us to stand up for our needs and interests, since we believe we deserve them. It should be noted that people with a lot of self-respect do not put down or belittle others. They are not bullies. Instead, they tend to treat others with respect, mainly because that's how they expect to be treated. In fact, people with a lot of self-respect tend to stand up for those they perceive as being mistreated. Before moving forward, let's take a moment to review the pieces and put them all together once again. Your self-concept refers to how you define yourself. It is broken into two categories. The first is self-image, or how you see yourself. This consists of your physical self, how you view your appearance and your physical abilities. Your thinking self, what you feel you know and have learned, and your social self, how you view your relationships with others. The second category is self-esteem, or how you feel about yourself. Self-esteem consists of self-efficacy, or how competent you feel you are, and self-respect, the value and worth you place on yourself. In other words, what you feel you deserve. All these elements blend together to create one extremely important area of study, an area that will affect the quality of life for each and every person, each and every day.